Welcome, my beautiful souls, and welcome, my fellow Geminis. This is your reading for June 2025. I have to tell you, I have a feeling that this reading is going to be life changing for some. I don't say that lightly. It's not something I would say if I didn't really feel it. But I feel it. I feel it. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking. I want to get into your reading. I feel like this excitement. But I want to let you know this is for Gemini's sun, moon, or rising, or you can have a combination, of course. Um, I already know a lot of you are intuitively guided, and I thank you for paying attention to your intuition, as do your spirit guides. Many of you know I read through my guides, so definitely feel comfortable asking your guides to give you signs of confirmation. Like this is a type of reading you should truly feel it. Goosebumps. I get goosebumps all the time in your readings. Um, but yeah, so they know you're here. They may have even nudged you here. So you don't have to ask for confirmation. I feel like they'll give it to you anyway. Some of you may be in love with the Gemini, platonically, romantically. Same thing. Your guides know you're here. You'll probably receive more messages, but at least you'll know where your person's at. Um, Sam's daughter-in-laws are both Geminis, and I know I say this all the time, but they're completely opposites. So, one sign doesn't mean like, let's say you dated let's say you dated a Virgo. I'm a Virgo sun, Gemini moon, and that Virgo didn't treat you well. Doesn't mean every Virgo is like that. And one of the main reasons why is because a lot of us have different moons. Our moon is really our inner reflection. We can have different rising. The sun is really what we're showing the world. It's like the outfit we pick out for the day, so to speak. But I just want to let you know that. I always feel like you should at least check out your moon readings because that is the inner you. All right. Got my little Molodite, which I've been using in every reading. Um, I brought out all the big guns, of course. We're going to use Mother Mary to open up the reading. We will use the Gilded Tarot to go deeper. We will use the major arcanas just because I love them in the readings now. We're going to use the Tarot of Dreams for your main spread. And I have the romance angels already, and I also have the clarifying love situations already. So I'm going to bring the lid down a little bit more. All right, and let's begin. My fellow Geminis, something is telling me, something is telling me this is going to be good. Well, life changing is what I'm hearing. So we'll see what that means. All right. I feel like I'm going to take that too. I just feel those are your cards. I don't do that very often. One of the rules I have at my table is a card must come out to the table for us to read it, but sometimes I need to bend my own rules. All right. So let's see what we have. Giving and receiving. I balance being generous and receptive because both are equally important. I balance being generous and receptive because both are equally important. Tenderness. Try a little tenderness. I am both gentle and powerful. That is the Empress's energy. Also the Emperor. Gentle and powerful. And last but not least is Grace. I love that name, Grace. I am filled with the same beauty, poise, and divine perfection as all of God's other creatures. Maybe this is a reminder or remembrance for you, especially for those who feel a little lost, or maybe you're not feeling worthy, but maybe someone is just not giving what you give. And again, gentle, but also powerful. I feel like I'm not going to tell you what to do yet. Well, not that I ever tell you what to do, because I want to leave that up to you and your intuition and your guides. But I do get this feeling that I may be sticking with something, because I may be feeling, and when I say I mean all of us. I read as the collective. I read like you're all in the room with me, each and every time, and my guides have blessed me with that. So, anyways, I just have a feeling that there are some who, you may be staying in a situation, but it may be because, there could be some fear of like, is the grass really greener on the other side? Well, I think it depends on the situation you're in, but if you are constantly giving and not receiving, well, that's not fair. And I feel like if you are thinking about making changes, keep in mind that you are both powerful and gentle with a little grace mixed in there. All right, let's put these right here. Okay. And let's bring in the major arcanas. I use these for like bullet points in the reading. By the way, everything's always pre-shuffled. That's why you don't see me shuffling a lot. But I do like to give it a shuffle or two with you here also. But what was I going to say? Jeez, what a mess. Okay. Um, Sometimes they tell their own story, but they will relate to your main spread also. I already know that. All right, we have judgment. This is your spiritual team. They come with a message, and that is for you to bring your energy into the current moment, the present moment. This means that there's signs or a sign being sent to you. It's guidance. I feel like it should give you a sense of comfort knowing that it's your spiritual team helping to guide you. But number one, it's calling you into the present moment. We have the Emperor. The Emperor looking right over a judgment. And then we have the Death card. So the Emperor's card of Aries, the Death card is card of Scorpio, but that's not really how I read them on, with this. So we have the Death card mirroring judgment. Death card's transformation. So it feels like something has run its course and it's time for something new. Yet well, I'm saying yet, I want to say, but your spiritual team is going to help guide you. The Emperor right in the middle there, and he's looking right at judgment like I'm waiting. Maybe there's a door that needed to close first. That's really what the Death card is, transformation. But it's like the ending of one cycle so that a new cycle can begin. Well, judgment would also represent that new cycle. The Emperor can talk about business ownership. It's the father figure. Interesting that we get tenderness, powerful and strong. And I often relate that back to the Empress. So we'll see. I mean, if the Empress comes out, then we know we got one hell of a love story on our hands. Um, but I do feel like this Emperor well, I don't want to say impatient because he is sitting, but he is like waiting at the same time. Like When that sign comes in, I'm ready. Hmm. Okay. We have justice. I'm not going to take it yet, because I want to shuffle 'em. So they could certainly talk about cutting ties, but if it's cutting ties, with judgment being your first card, then chances are it would serve you. Because justice is about making you whole again. What's fair and just in your world. Giving and receiving from Mother Mary, it just makes me feel like there was an unequal balance. So let's see. But it doesn't feel like it's from the Emperor. Again, I'm not reading him as I know these Emperor is represented by Aries. And it certainly could be an Aries for some of you, but I'm not really reading it that way. I'm reading it more as, I feel strength of power. And yes, the Emperor does have a lot of power, but I feel like this inner power that maybe I didn't feel before. We have the Knight of Wands, passion. Knight of Wands means something passionate is coming your way. Um, can be that feeling of being swept off your feet. So if you're being swept off your feet, chances are it's unexpected. I feel like when we see a knight is going to complete their mission, come hell or high water. Doesn't mean you have to accept it, but yet it's like bringing all this passion in. Now, some of you, I could see you taking that passion and maybe even creating a business out of it. Or if you have an existing business, it feels like, like maybe I had like a writer's block or something, and the floodgates open back up again. All right, well, let's see what else we have. We have the Four of Pentacles. It's like it's coming right to your home. We have King of Cups. We have the Devil, card Capricorn. Though I do want you to look at this image because the one thing with the devil can certainly cast illusions, make you feel stuck when it's not the truth. This is when we have to find our own power. If you look at this person, the devil's making them feel like they're stuck in this cage. This door is wide open. This person could leave anytime they wanted. But something is holding them in place. Lower vibrational energy. Of course, unless this is a Capricorn for you. I keep telling you I'm making my own cards, and I am. And I've already like redesigned Capricorn's card, so I don't always have to say the devil. But anyways, can talk about temptations. We're gonna take 5 across. Death card's right above it. So I feel like the death card's speaking right to the energy of the devil. All right, so just so you know, I told my guides today I don't want to read reversals, but I do keep them in mind. We have the King of Swords. Look at this King of Swords. This may be who feels like they're trapped. Every time I see this king, oh, my screen just went really dark. Oh, I know why I forgot to put on my, um, let me see if I can do this real quick. Give us more light. What the heck? There we go. There we go. All right. But, anyways, does he not look stuck? He looks like he's behind bars. And I feel like it is the devil's influence, you know, or I keep saying the devil, let's just say darker energy. All right. We have, well, hello, soulmates. Under the Knight of Wands. Well, I mean, soulmates, love. Often you'll see the soulmates looking eye to eye, and it to me that represents the soul. Like the eyes are the mirror to our soul, and they're looking at each other's eyes, so each other's soul, the passion that's connected to it. We have the Six of Swords, really called moving on. Look at this. And then the Five of Swords. Well, no wonder. Interesting. Because it feels like soulmates, and then you're moving on. But I don't feel like you're moving on from the soulmates. I feel like you're moving on from this energy. Where once I felt stuck, now I feel free. The Five of Swords does talk about toxicity. It can be very hurtful type of language, conversation that just, you know, goes bad, goes to bad places. It is the five, so it does want change. Six of Swords right before it. I wish it would have came. Well, it doesn't really matter. I was going to say I wish it came the other way around. Um, I have a feeling some of you may be leaving, like you may be moving. Like we saw justice in the beginning. Some of you may be cutting ties with someone. You may live together, maybe even married. But it feels like with the Six of Swords, because this person is moving on, but they're literally in movement. So some of you may, um, I feel like, listen, I feel like this energy is coming to you, soulmate energy, but the passion that's attached to it. I feel like you are at home when this happens. Now, for some of you, I feel like you're at home, but there may also be someone else in your home that doesn't feel doesn't feel good. Um, Quite the opposite. You know, I don't know. I feel like we have to learn how to free ourselves. We have to learn to allow these transformations. Almost like this emperor is waiting in the wings, but I'm not going to come in until this movement. Yet again, I feel like they're reaching you at home. So that could be through social media. It could be through a phone call, text. You may hear that this king has just freed himself from what he would call a cage, like felt stuck in this cage. But again, he's the one who's keeping himself or had kept himself in that cage. Yeah, kind of feeling like it's the opposite. It's someone else's energy who needs to be cleared that then I feel like will come towards you. And listen, I love this because I feel like your spiritual team wants to protect you at the same time. So, them freeing themselves, it almost feels like a must. Well, and then I think about you and how so many of you are having these spiritual awakenings. And having a spiritual awakening means that you're very truthful with yourself. If it's not working, what am I going to do? If I've had enough, do I stay? Sometimes it doesn't have to mean like literally do I leave, but I do feel like enough is enough. Interesting because I feel like this king, the emperor and the king of cups, I feel like they're the same person. I feel like this king wants to offer love, and I feel like these kings are also the same. But this is talking about where this king has been, what this king has been through. Now, I'm saying king, it could also be queen. Remember that we all carry feminine and masculine energy. Um, and sometimes, let's say you are a woman, sometimes you need that masculine energy. If you're a man, sometimes you need your feminine energy. Okay, let's keep going. It's funny because part of me also sees you in this King of Cups, male or female, but I see it in a different way. I see you receiving this cup. So I see these kings who I feel is the emperor. And listen, the emperor is all about learning, all about growing. The emperor is someone that we should be able to look up to. Usually has their shit together. This is someone I feel carries natural healing abilities. Maybe it's exactly what your soul needs right now. Um, the emperor is the leader of the people, but he does that through empathy and compassion, but also methodical, like puts plans in place. So let's keep going. Hello, Ace of Pentacles. So when you see the Ace of Pentacles, it means something is coming into your physical world. How interesting that the Ace of Pentacles is mirroring the Death card, right? Transformation, closing of one door, just like Judgment is asking, bringing your energy into the current moment. Here comes this Ace of Pentacles. Something's coming into your physical world. We already know it's full of passion, probably desire. And I don't feel like, it's just, well, I shouldn't say just, but because it is connected to soulmate energy or soulmate love, let's say. But I also feel this is an opportunity for you to do the things that maybe you've always wanted to do, but for whatever the reason didn't do. Sometimes we put ourselves on the back burner while those we love are out, making like their career better or what have you. But then where does that leave you? And I'm only saying that because I'm feeling a lot of creativity in this Ace of Pentacles. It does mean something coming into your physical world. Right now, it is mirroring the soulmates. Maybe a very welcomed energy. I even love this image. Looks like Hercules holding up this ace and all those muscles. That reminds me of your spiritual muscles. Allowing these transformations to take place. I feel like your spiritual team wants you to know that also. Like you deserve this ace. This isn't like a miracle that's just happening out of the blue. It may feel like a miracle, but it's well earned. I feel that. Okay. We have Judgment again, right under the King of Swords. And then we have the Nine of Swords. Hmm. It feels like the soulmates. And it feels like two spiritual teams, each doing their job with their person. Like, I feel like this King's spirit guides, because he has the Nine of Swords, which is a lot of worry. But really, the meaning of the card is unnecessary worry. It's also interesting that it's a nine, and we're in the last chapter of a 9 year cycle. So we really want to think about, like, how do I want the next 9 years to look? I feel like that's what he's reflecting upon. I feel like he has to learn that he can set himself free. And I don't know why, but all of a sudden I get this feeling of someone thinking about you, but I feel like you don't know this. Hmm. You know, these our spiritual guides know this. And I feel like what they're saying is just trust. Like, trust in the signs I send you. I feel like with the Knight of Wands being the very first card, it'd be very hard to deny it. Let's say if this is talking about love, there'd be a lot of chemistry here. Some of you could be the King of Swords, and you may feel trapped. But again, I'm not saying it's easy to have this transformation. I've been there, right? But it is freeing, because I feel like what's happening right now doesn't feel good. It's either you or them. But yet, here comes change. So they must free themselves. All right. We have, interesting, the Queen of Wands on the bottom of the deck. Queen of Wands can be Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Death card right underneath that. Wow. I don't know. Part of me is feeling like this queen might be. And again, don't think about the signs, because you may be a fire sign going like, "What the hell? What do you mean? I'm leaving the picture." Hmm. Don't think about that. Easier said than done, I know. It's interesting because I just left a comment um on someone's comment under I forget what reading it was on. Um but I was telling her how, I was in a relationship actually with an Aries for 20 some years. But it was always more like best friend type energy. You know what I mean? But I have a Virgo sun, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like, cheating, it was just, off the table for me. So it's staying or going. It's not cheating. I'm either going to stay or I'm going to go. So I chose to go and got myself an apartment. And many of you know the story, but 2 weeks later, that's when the love of my life called. At my home, by the way, at my home. And what did I do? Eventually, after 5 years, I got in this boat and I went to his house. And this is now where I reside. Wouldn't have happened if I didn't take that leap of faith, even though I was afraid. So I kind of understand what this is saying. All right, let's bring in the Gilded Tarot and let's go ahead and go deeper. You know, it's interesting because I'm saying this Queen of Wands feels like she's leaving the picture. However, for some, I feel like this could be someone, male or female, that may have had your attention like all along. Or you were the queen and this king is someone, that you used to know. And I know a lot of people don't like it when I say, why is it always going to be someone of the past? Doesn't have to be. You can say no. But it is feeling that way. Because I get this feeling of, though we're not together, we always remained in each other's hearts. And I have to say, the Queen of Wands would not accept, at least I don't feel, and again, I'm not thinking about her sign, thinking about her energy, and I can't see her accepting someone who is attached to another. Like, I want all of you or none of you. Now, I know that may not be the case for everyone, but something tells me this happens like a surprise. Look at Judgment mirroring the soulmates. I mean, do you think that was meant to happen? Yes. I'm answering my own questions, but yes. Especially with the Ace of Pentacles right next to it, and this person looking right over Judgment. It's like the devil's energy has tried to keep someone trapped. Tried. And I feel like it was successful for a while. But now I feel like maybe with this transformation, maybe like some having spiritual awakenings doesn't mean that they even know what that means. I just feel like they free themselves. But I feel like it did take time. Yet I still feel there's two people who, like, you've always remained in my heart. Doesn't mean I didn't go on and live my life. You did. All right. Did I cut these? I'm going to cut them just in case. Reason I cut them, by the way, is I want to introduce them into what's already on the table. So, like, let's continue. All right. And let's continue. High Priestess, your intuition. By the way, number two, mirroring in number two. Exactly what your spiritual team wants you to do. Listen to your intuition. Why? It's guiding you. It's getting you ready. They're getting you ready. For what? Something passionate. Or someone passionate. And it's like the Emperor's also trusting within his intuition. And I feel like that's where the patience is coming from. Hmm. The story could be flipped. So just know that. I always feel like in a reading, we're going to take these. When they flip over in a deck, I also take them. But remember in a reading, it could be either way. Like when I say this person's trapped, it could be you, you know? Okay, well, let's keep going. Three of Wands, beautiful. This is you doing exactly what your spiritual team is asking you to do. This is present moment energy. This is the energy of optimism. This is saying to divine, I know my ships will come in, and I trust in divine timing. Why am I more positive? Well, you know, this is like learning to let go of the things that you cannot control anyway. And I feel like you're trusting in your guides so much so that you know that what's ever meant to be for you will be. But we got to remember also that we have free will. So, like in this transformation of the death card, we have to allow that. I mean, sometimes we don't have that option, but usually it's like when we're able to clear, it's like a soul's lesson. And I feel like there's always a good reward with that. We have the Nine of Swords again. Someone's doing a lot of worry. But let's remember the Nine of Swords is unnecessary worry. It's interesting because I feel like usually you'll see it Nine of Swords, the person's in bed. So I just get this feeling of like when I lay my head down on my pillow, maybe my mind, my thoughts go back, go back. But still seems a little fearful of making a change. Now we have the Five of Swords under that. They could be dealing with someone who's very difficult. Like if I say I'm leaving, or I may think that they're going to put me through hell. So I stay. But I'm not happy. Interesting how one's in the energy of optimism and the other one's in the energy of fear. I feel like ultimately, even though I feel like one doesn't know that the other plans on communicating, and I may not even be thinking about that, just in an optimistic state. I trust in divine timing. I know, again, that my ships will come in their due time. It's like their spiritual team is helping them to overcome what they need to overcome. Your spiritual team seems like they're getting you ready for something. Well, again, just have a feeling it's the soulmates. All right. Ace of Swords. There you go. Look at that. Two aces. Boy, do I feel like someone's going to get a phone call or some type of communication. And, the communication may not be, hey, I'm free now, because you may not even know this person was ever attached. This could have been a long time ago. So, but if this is someone you're interested in and you know that they're in this type of relationship and and you know that they want to leave, then that could be a communication of, hey, I did it. But what I'm really feeling is that this person does set themselves free. They understand that, these illusions of feeling stuck in place is just that, an illusion. And then I feel like ring, ring. We have the king. Look at my screen. Why is it so dang dark? King of Pentacles. Sorry about that. Why is it so dark? Hmm. King of Pentacles, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. I just get this feeling that this person who is stuck or was stuck, again, illusionary, but I do feel like they had a lot to deal with. Like they're with someone or they were with someone who I feel like part of their fear is that this anger will follow. And I'm not going to say necessarily it won't. But listen, I'd rather have your uncaring words over the phone than like literally right next to me. I feel like this King of Wands or this King of Pentacles is representing the type of person. So it's interesting I said how, like, I couldn't, like, if Sam would have called me while I was still with that other person, I would have turned him down. Even though I wouldn't have wanted to turn him down, but I would have. And I feel like I'm saying that because I feel this sense of loyalty with this king. And when you have this very loyal nature, it can be hard to leave a relationship. Almost like someone had to tell themselves that they have a right to be happy in their lives. And I don't feel like this is something that, they could have just stumbled into it. It does kind of feel like it was more free will than destined. Um, and, maybe they needed some growth also. I know they have to overcome this fear if they want to see change in their lives. But I get the sense that this king mirroring the high priestess, well, I call the Queen of Pentacles my psychic detective. Why can't the King of Pentacles also be that? All right, we have, well, look at that. Justice made his way out. Carta Libra, but hello. Rare is a soulmates. So this is cutting your ties. And I don't know why I'm not feeling it's you. I feel it's them, unless you are them. The one thing I want to say is I feel proud of how I feel your guides are protecting you. It's like they don't want you involved, especially if this person's dealing with someone who's very toxic, because this is Five of Swords is toxicity. It is bad communication. And what does it do? It literally puts them in the Nine of Swords. I feel like this person just wants love, but real love. And I cannot stop thinking that they're thinking of you. So now seeing justice, I feel like they have freed themselves. They are balanced. Hallelujah. Even if you never connect with this person, I just want to say, like, I feel proud. Yes, they did stumble into something that, was probably alluring at first. The devil, temptations. All right, let's keep going. But I want to say before we go, or keep going, the Ace of Swords feels like communication first. And then the Ace of Pentacles talks about it coming in. So probably the soulmates coming together into each other's physical world. It may start through just communication over the phone. Um, but if that's the case, it should be very romantic. Again, let's not forget what opened up this reading, that Knight of Wands connected to the soulmates. And the High Priestess coming over the Knight of Wands makes me feel like you're going to just allow yourself to enjoy the energy instead of like pushing it away or being fearful of it. I mean, we'll see. But that's just what I'm feeling right now. I do feel like you're hearing your spiritual guides call because you're doing exactly what they're asking. And that can only mean good things. What was, was. This is about what will be now. Even if this is old love that's coming back together, if I still get the sense of we need to get to know each other again. So that tells me that there probably been, well, quite a few years in between. All right. We have a hello, Ace of Pentacles again. First of all, synchronicities. Oh my gosh, I just got goosebumps. Why? Because this person has walked away. And I am not taking this lightly because I do not feel this was easy. And again, it's not because of love, it's the opposite. Yet here they are walking away, coming over the Five of Swords. That means this person is heading towards the Nine of Cups, inner harmony. I have a feeling it's been a while since I've had this inner harmony, but it's also fulfillment of wishes. So let's keep following it. Well, of course. Hello, lovers. Your major arcana number one. The meaning of the card's a head over heart decision, but it is coming over the Ace of Pentacles. Listen, there's no denying the chemistry of the lovers. There just isn't. You can try. You can say no. Of course, you can say no. But I feel like you won't be able to deny what you feel. Oh my gosh, the Ace of Wands. First of all, I feel like the Ace of Wands, it's this person's spiritual team putting a fire under their ass. Like, do you want to be happy or do you not? It's time to make some real decisions, especially we're closing out this 9-year cycle. Do you want this person in the next 9 years of your life? And I feel like the person's like, no, no. Then it's time to go. This is also action oriented. This is passion being activated. The lovers. Look at the aces, the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Wands, and the Ace of Pentacles. Communication, the feeling, the passion, the heart chakra is being activated. And the Ace of Pentacles is coming into my physical life, into my life. We have the Three of Pentacles. I'm going to put these down here. And then we have the Strength card, card of Leo. So the Three of Pentacles, beautiful. Because the Three of Pentacles, by the way, just realize it is mirroring your spiritual team again. So it is the celebration of the individuality and all that you are and all that you can be, all that you can create. I often feel in the Three of Pentacles, it's a very creative energy. And look at this ace sitting right above it. So let's just say, money-wise, I feel like, especially if you're just beginning something, of a creative nature, but probably, it's what you're doing for a living. I feel like it's only going to expand. Interesting, these two eights together. Strength card. I don't know why, but I feel like that is more for this person. Like they had to find the strength to overcome, but I feel like it's more overcome the fear of this change. And I feel like they do. I knew this was going to be a special reading, and that's what it feels like. I mean, of course, it wouldn't be real life if there wasn't like the ebbs and flows. But I feel you, unless it is the other way for you, I feel like you are sitting pretty. I feel like many of you are trusting in your intuition now more than ever. And, your intuition is not just for love, it is your GPS for everything in life. Like you want to increase your money, your guides will send you inspiration. And then it's up to us if we're going to listen or not, or use it or not. But I feel like, why wouldn't we? It's like your spiritual team saying they're so proud of who you are. And that doesn't mean you have like tons of accomplishments. In the spiritual world, it's more about who you are on a, what's the word I want to say? In a loving way. Who do I help? Do I help? Do I care for my fellow man and woman? If I have an opportunity to help, do I do that? And I feel like you do, because that's what I feel like your spiritual team is celebrating about you. I don't feel like they could care less what you do for a living. But let's say that you're able to help other people through what you do for a living. Well, that's different. Anywhere that you can help another, well, that just creates good karma. This person might have ran into some bad karma. But listen, that's their plight. All right. Man, I don't even feel like I need to make this reading long because I feel like it is pretty dang clear. So, anything I want to look at in particular? Not really. So, what I'm going to do is go right across the middle for any other messages that may want to come out. The devil again. Card of Capricorn, double Capricorn now. King of Cups twice. Look at that. The Emperor twice. Hello, Star. Your hopes, your dreams, your wishes. Wow. This Emperor has a wish. And it feels like the wish is you. Remember, in the star's energy, it is about one's dreams and wishes coming true, but it does take human action. Like we can wish and hope and pray all day long, but if we're not able or willing to take the action steps necessary, well, then that's what we'll do. We'll wish and keep wishing. But I feel like because each of the soulmates or the lovers spiritual team is here. They're definitely helping to guide, they're helping to guide this together. But I feel like they're keeping you out of the picture and letting them do what they need to do. Wow. Star is also a card of Aquarius. I should say that. All right. I'm not gonna overread this, but I am gonna bring in the clarifying love situations. You know, sometimes a reading needs to be 2 hours long, and sometimes it doesn't. It's funny. I just released Scorpio's reading, or re-released it from 2018. It was their most popular. There was like 300,000 views on it, but it was done in 2018. But it was spirit guides messages, but I put timeless. So I thought to myself, well, because we're ending a cycle, let's go ahead and re-release that and see if it truly is timeless. So I guess in a way I'm testing my guys. They're like Sandy. Maybe I'm testing myself. And the reason I said Sandy is because we don't need to test them. We can. Turbulence. Heal unresolved conflicts with kindness, not anger. Heal unresolved conflicts with kindness, not anger. And then we have love blocks. Dismantle hidden barriers to real intimacy and trust. Love blocks. Dismantle hidden barriers to real intimacy and trust. For some reason, I feel like that all goes over here, unless you're relating to that. All right, last but not least, let's bring out the romance angels. We have the soulmates, we have the lovers, we have two aces of pentacles, we have hopes and dreams and wishes, and the ability to really make them come true. We have spiritual teams working on each of their people. It just feels like this might be something that was meant to happen in divine, like this may be divine timing. This may be the timing. All right. You deserve love. You are lovable. Why, yes, you are. And yes, you do deserve love. And it's interesting because she's got her bow and arrow out. It's like she's got her eyes set on someone. She's about to shoot that arrow. Trust. This situation is calling for you to have faith. Faith. My granddaughter's name. And Nancy, I don't know if you're going to watch, I don't know if Nancy is Gemini, but I just found out your daughter's name is Faith. So, you deserve love. The situation is calling for you to have faith. This could be the one. And how interesting, you've already met the romantic partner you seek. It feels like this is what the whole reading was about. This could be the one. I have a feeling this may not be everyone's reading. However, I feel like it's for a lot. There could have been years and years and years in between, but that doesn't matter. I can use myself as an example again, and I hate to always use myself as an example, but Sam and we were teenage lovers. It didn't work out then, and maybe it wasn't meant to. Maybe each of our souls had things that our souls wanted to accomplish independent of each other. And then when I did leave my Aries, 2 weeks, my phone rings, ring, ring, at my home, and it was the one. So, why could that happen for me and not for you? I didn't always live a spiritual life, let me tell you that. You know, I've gotten myself into many situations, just like this king. Like, I've stumbled into, narcissistic type relationships. The person I was with for over 20 years was not a narcissist, quite the opposite. We really, and we still are very close on a friendship basis. Um, but, you know, it's, and I don't want to put him down. Um, but the relationship that Sam and I have, it's just so real. By the way, it didn't happen until I was, I think, 58. But I freed myself. Why? Well, it's not that I knew that Sam was going to call. That was the last thing I was thinking about at that time. I just wanted to be free. Wow. Guys, I mean, I am not even going to try to come in between what I feel this reading is speaking about. I don't want to overread it, overthink it, which is a Virgo trait, but I've really learned to control that. When I do a reading, I just open my intuition completely, which sometimes shuts down my mind. But anyways, wow. All right, I think I'm gonna leave it there. Um, this conversation that's going to take place, I feel romance. It may start out simple, like, hey, hi, what have you been doing in your life? You know what I mean? But I feel like it will turn. Like, I feel a day will come when this person will be like, I don't know if you know this. I don't know if I told you this, but like, you've always been in my heart. Like, you are the one that got away. You may be like, that's beautiful. But I feel like you have accomplished a lot in your life. So I do feel that you will feel the same way. Okay, there I am, still reading. All right, guys, I'm going to let that be. I love you. I thank you. My prayer is that whoever this is meant for, that it come with complete clarity, just as your spiritual team saying it will. Trust your intuition. Trust your intuition. I love you guys. I always love reading for you. Thank you. And I'll see you next time at our table. By the way, happy birthday. I'm sorry, I should have said that in the beginning. For those celebrating a birthday, happy birthday. I hope you get the best birthday surprise ever. Love you. Bye bye. Well,